You know, I've said many times that Donald Trump ushered in people into the political conversation who didn't know anything about politics. And I've said that they grew up on a steady diet of reality TV and they think that The Apprentice is how the government can be ran. But any reality show you see, you got to understand they're scripted reality. None of it's actually real. It's scripted reality situations is what it is. And they all have always had the same formula. And folks, it's been so long since I watched a reality show because I don't like the format. There's only been a couple over the years I watched. I used to watch American Idol back in the day, and I would just watch the first couple of rounds to watch the singers that just sucked. I would always kind of chime in to watch those. But you had Paula, who was the sweetheart, and she treated everyone good. Then you had Randy, who was the voice of reason, and then you had Simon, who was the asshole. Well, later on, I would watch Pawn Stars, and it was the same formula. You had Rick, who was your voice of reason. You had his old man, who was the prick, and you had Chumley, who was the comic relief. You know, and that's always been the formula for reality shows. Any show you watch, whether you're watching about cupcakes or you're watching about tattoos, that's always the same format that they have. And it's pretty much the same kind of format they have on Fox News. They have someone like Jesse Waters who goes out there and just says the most over-the-top, absurd bullshit ever. They have Jessica Tarloff who tries to be the voice of reason in the middle of it. And then they have Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity is the guy who tries to normalize the situations. And one of the things that I caught lately was Joe Biden came out and he made a statement about racism, Islamophobia, and bigotry. And Hannity actually had a comeback for that. Take a look at this.
There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students. There is no place for hate speech or violence of any kind, whether it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination against Arab Americans or Palestinian Americans. It's simply wrong. There's no place for racism in America. It's all wrong. It's un-American.
Not exactly inspiring. The statement was frankly pathetic. And by the way, what Islamophobia is he referencing? Where does he see that happening right now in this country? Is he even watching what is unfolding?
Folks, what Joe Biden said right there is not about Democrat versus Republican. That's not about left versus right. That's one of those things that's not up for debate. What Joe Biden said right there was absolutely true. There was no need for a segment at all from anyone. It was mic drop, nothing left to hear, everybody move along. That's how it's supposed to be. But Sean Hannity is always the guy who comes in and tries to normalize this type of behavior. He tries to normalize this idea that racism and bigotry doesn't no longer exist. They think just because we elected Barack Obama in 2008, they think racism magically disappeared. And no matter how many times you show them George Floyd with a knee in his neck, they'll find a way to spin it. Jesse Waters is always there to say the over-the-top thing to get everybody stirred up and get people like me to reacting to it and showing y'all clips. But Hannity is always the one that is there to normalize something, water it down, and shove it under the rug. And that's what he's doing with something as serious as racism and bigotry. He's trying to act as though it never happens. And to call that statement frankly pathetic, who in their right mind does that? And who in their right mind invites a lady on the show, Christy Noem, who shot her dog and then tries to normalize it? Sean Hannity.
You have responded. You responded on X on Sunday, and you gave more explanation to this, but you talk about this 14-month-old dog as untrainable. You describe it as a trained assassin. How the dog was killing chickens of a local neighbor, and how the dog even went to bite you, and I believe bit others as well. Tell us in your words why it came to that decision. I mean, unfortunately, dogs that are violent sometimes have to be put down. But I guess people, because you shot the dog, is there a difference which way you put a dog down? I'm not really sure, but I don't think people understood it. I want to give you a chance to explain.
Well, Sean, you know how the fake news works. They leave out some or most of the facts of a story. They put the worst spin on it. And that's what's happened in this case. I hope people really do buy this book and they find out the truth of this story, because the truth of this story is that this was a working dog and it was not a puppy. It was a dog that was extremely dangerous. It had come to us from a family who had found her way too aggressive. We were her second chance, and she the day she was put down was a day that she massacred livestock that were part of our neighbors. She attacked me, and it was a hard decision.
Have you noticed just since this story first broke how much it's grown and how vicious Cricket has become as time has went on? You know, she says, oh, well, it wasn't a puppy. It was just 14 months old. Well, you know what? In my part of the world, whenever we had a dog that was 14 months old, he was still a pup in our mind. He was still a dog in training. Again, I come from a long line of hunters that had all sorts of hunting dogs. I know all about this situation. And I know that you just don't take a dog and put it down for no reason. I've seen dogs that were rabid. I've seen dogs that got bitten by a wild animal in the woods and that became rabid and they had to be put down. And that's a terrible thing when that happens. But 9 times out of 10 in my part of the world, unless you're just a despicable human being, if you have a dog that won't train, you take it somewhere else. But as this story is growing, she's starting to now call Cricket this trained assassin. And Sean Hannity is there to normalize this. He's there to smooth all of this over and act like it's nothing. And this is the same guy that went off on rant after rant about Barack Obama and his tan suit. This is the same guy who, anytime Barack Obama didn't salute everybody around him, he was talking about it. If Obama didn't place his hand on his heart during the national anthem, oh, he's a communist, he's a socialist, he's a Marxist, he's a sadist. I mean, he couldn't even ask for a little Dijon mustard that it didn't get turned into this big thing. Michelle Obama couldn't wear a sleeveless shirt that they didn't sit and rant for hours about. Every Sean Hannity segment was all about her bare arms. But now, a lady shoots a dog, and he finds a way to normalize it. He finds a way to smooth it over. He finds a way to act like that's normal. That's just how it is. And he finds a way to normalize ignoring racism and hatred, Islamophobia and bigotry. It's bullshit. We have to call it out. And I know what so many people, they say it to me all the time. Man, every time you disagree with us, you call us a racist. I have never called anyone a racist for disagreeing with me. Do you want to know why I've called you a racist? Because you said something racist, because you've done something racist, because you didn't realize that what you were engaging in was racism. And I'll tell you something, I don't have a problem when it gets pointed out to me. I've had it pointed out to me. I've written songs where I used cliches that I'd heard my entire life. And later someone said to me, you know what, that cliche is racist. How? Explain it to me. And when they explained it, guess what I did? I didn't say it anymore. I have laughed at jokes that I thought was harmless. And someone said to me, hey, that joke has racial undertones. You shouldn't be laughing at that. Guess what? I didn't take offense. I used to have a flag that hung in my room with a bird in the middle of it that I thought just meant Leonard Skinner. But the deeper I got in the weeds, I learned that it didn't mean that it meant other things. Sometimes we have to face up to uncomfortable truths. Sometimes we have to face reality. And that's what good, reasonable people wants to achieve. But Sean Hannity is there to normalize it all. They have their formula. Jesse Waters is going to stir the pot. He's going to throw gas on the fire. He's going to blow everything up. And then Hannity's going to come in like he's some sort of genius. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump calls him a legal expert now. Take a look at this.
All of that being done and all of that being said, the fake charges, the legal targets, everything. And, you know, we've had tremendous reviews from great people, Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Mark Levin, Greg Jarrett, Sean Hannity, so many people, but great experts, great legal experts. Alan Dershowitz just came out saying there's no case, there's no crime. He didn't do anything wrong. What are you doing? These are people, not every one of them love me. These are people that just want to speak the truth. They said there's no Andy McCarthy today. There's no case.
So yeah, in their mind, Hannity is a legal expert. People are going to listen to him and believe every word that it is he's saying. We can't allow Sean Hannity to normalize these kind of things, and we can't allow Sean Hannity himself to be normalized. We have to always stand up and call this stuff out for what it is. The guy's no legal expert. He's put there to fan the flames and to normalize everything and cool everything down. But I would love to just be a fly on the wall when Hannity's alone and he's talking to his closest friends who he trusts the most, because I don't know how anyone could be that stupid. Let me know in the comments what you think. Does Hannity really believe this stuff, or is he a paid talking head? Is he really this stupid, or is he just a pro wrestling villain playing the heel? I'd like to hear your thoughts.